Hi there guys, today we're going to have a look at solving simultaneous equations and then we're going to combine this knowledge with some inequalities. Okay, so because this is a quadratic and we have two equations, we know it's going to be simultaneous and the quadratic element says we need to be substituting something in. So we have two variables here, x and y, and at the moment neither of those are the subject, the 5 is. So we're going to have to rearrange it, and because this has a coefficient of 1, we're going to rearrange it just so the y is the subject. So y is 5, take away 2x. And if instead of writing y here, I'm going to write that. So let's quickly do that. 2x squared minus 3x. And I'm going to be really careful here to put this whole thing in a bracket. And if you don't, you're very likely to mess up with these negatives here. So that would of course be 2x squared minus 3x. I could do all this in one, but I'm going to take my time. So a minus and a positive 5, well that's minus 5. But a minus, so we're taking away a negative 2x, well that's plus 2x. That's the trickiest bit of this question. So let's tidy up. Because it's a quadratic and I'm asked to solve it, I know everything has to be on one side. So if I can tidy up these, simplify those, that's going to be minus x. Oh. So I just sort that horrible looking x out. And we'll get this 16 on the other side. So that's going to be an x and minus 21. Okay, now you have to factorize this. I'm going to go ahead and do this quickly, but you might want to pause. I'm going to talk you through what I'm going to do, but if you want to factorize it by multiplying the first coefficient by 21, finding the factors of 42, 6 and 7 it will be, but here's the quickest way. So because this is a prime number, I know it's got to be 2x and x. And 21 hasn't got many factors either. So let's start with 3 and 7. So if I can see it already, if I put a 3 there, when I multiply it by the 2x, I'm going to get 6x. So if I put 7 here, I'm going to make 7x. So 6x and 7x, I can make this negative 1. So that's what it's going to be. So we're going to solve this now. So x is equal to 7 halves, and x is equal to minus 3. Of course, we need to find the y values as well because it's solving. So let's go ahead and do that. So we know, I'm going to use this one that I rearranged. So y is 5 take away 2x's. Now because this is a fraction, I'm going to write this as a fraction. So 5 as halves is, well that's 10 halves, isn't it? Take away 2x's, so 2 of those is 14 halves. So that's going to be minus 4 halves, which is the same as minus 2. This one's going to be a bit easier. So 5 take away 2 lots of that. So 2 of those is minus 6. So y is going to be 11. Okay, I'm just going to quickly drag this over so I have a bit more space to show you the inequality part of this question. I'll make it a tad smaller at the same time. Okay, I'm just going to pause it while I write a new question for you. Okay, so here's the next question. So hence means it's going to be a hell of a lot easier if you use your answers from before. So find the set of values for x. So that means we're only going to be interested in these parts for which this graph is, well, this equation, this expression I should say, is greater than this expression. And you'll see that these are the graphs at the top. Now, the one on the right here is already in this rearranged format, which I had, but this one looks slightly different. If you can imagine adding a y to both sides, this is going to be the y, and if you take away 16, that's actually going to be the 16. So that's where that's coming from. Now we know that when we solve this, so that's not the straightest of lines, but it doesn't really matter. We're getting -3 and 7/2. So really what this is saying is, at what point when you put values of x in here is this one on the left bigger or greater than the one on the right? So we're going to test to see if this area meets that criteria, if it's bigger, or this one, or this one. And whatever happens, we're going to write down the answers. So I'll just rub those out a second. I'm trying. Sorry, my computer seemed to go to sleep then. So the easiest number to always try, I'm just going to quickly change colour, is 0. So if you imagine popping a 0 in here for x, remember this is the x-axis, that's going to be 0, that's going to be 0, so this side is going to be worth -16. If I put a 0 in here, it's going to be 5 take away 0, which would be 5. So here it shows that the left hand side is actually less than the right hand side, so this area does not meet. Now let's try a number like 4, because that's 3.5, so let's just go the other side. We know it's equal here. I'm guessing now because it's not, it's going to be on this side, but it's always worth checking because you may have made a mistake. So we put 4 in here, that's going to be 2 lots of 16, which is 32. Take away 3 lots of 4, which is 12, so I'm on 20 at the moment. Take away 16, I'm going to get 4. And 5 take away 2 lots of 4, 2 lots of this number here, so 5 take away 8 is -3. So you can see here that 4 is greater than -3. So this part meets the criteria. Now, you can't just stop at this point, you've got to check this one. So let's check -4 as well. Okay, I'm going to just do this verbally. So -4 squared is 16. Remember, minus times a minus is 16. Double that. Actually, I will write it down. You've got 32. Now we're going to minus 3 lots of -4. So that's actually going to become +12. And you can see already it's going to be a big number. So that's 44 take away 16. And that's 28. Now 5 take away 2 lots of -4. Well, that's going to be +8. That's 13. You can see that 28 is more than 13. So this area also meets this criteria. So for our final answer, we can say the numbers, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to pause it and delete everything under. So our answers are more than this point here, so it's got to be more than there. So the x values are more than 7.5, and the x values are clearly less. They're on this side of the line, so the x values are less than -3. That's a very difficult question, but hopefully that's made sense.